Welcome to some Poolside Pontification. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to some Poolside Hello. Welcome to a Sunday evening. It is the, 13th of March, April. Let me start that over. Welcome to some Poolside Pontification on a Sunday, April 13th. Here from beautiful Hue Ai, Thailand, which is just east of Pattaya. And today in Poolside Pontification, I'm glad I could say that word. I've started this video 4 times already because I botched it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about a couple things I think are important. 1, diversification. And 2, deference of time preference in life. Now, last night I was very fortunate to have met an individual here, and he's a young guy who in his early 40s is retired, and he retired because he had the foresight to, way back in 2013 or so, he did not buy Bitcoin. I know you thought I was going to say in 2013 this guy bought Bitcoin. No, he didn't do that. He was a young guy. But he was lucky enough to have owned a Tesla. One of the first Teslas. Not nearly as good a car as it is right now. But he liked it. He thought, well, this company might go somewhere. So he bought Tesla in the stock market, Tesla shares. And he kept purchasing Tesla shares. And from what he told me, and I totally believe him, he pretty much bought Tesla shares at exclusively buying Tesla shares because they had their ups, they had their downs. But if you've been following Tesla as long as I have as well, 2013 was down. I mean, they weren't producing very many cars. And I hope I got the dates right, but it was very early he started buying them, and he's retired. And we got into a conversation where I brought up that I was not a fan of diversity. Having a diversified portfolio, so to speak. And right now, everybody uses that as a catch term for why you should own the S&P 500 or the QQQs or some major index. Or if you don't do that, you're going to own individual stocks. You need to own a diversified mix of stocks in one of the 11 or 12 sectors. You should have a little diversification in all of them, was the old theory. We go back in the day, it was, do you have 60% stocks and 40% bonds? And out of 60% stocks, you should have a leader in technology and a leader in industrial processes and a leader in healthcare and all the different 11 sectors of the S&P. If you're going to own individual stocks, you need to be diversified. And I am not a fan of that. He wasn't a fan of that. And although he is young, somewhere around 40, I guess, he's retired. And looks to be well retired. And he didn't use diversification. And I say, if you've got conviction that you have one of the best or the best asset that you can invest in, why do you want to diversify? That's like selling your winners to buy more losers. And the people who have diversified portfolios are the ones who say, yeah, this stock here, it killed it last year, but I really did good. Well, what about the other ones? Well, this one made a little bit of appreciation, and this one was down a little bit, and this one made a little bit more than that one, but this one here, it killed it. That one killed it. Yes, sir. It was doing great. It went up, 30% last year. I did real good on that. That was one out of my 15 stocks I hold. And then, of course, the bonds, they didn't do worth a damn, but, they always said you have to have 60% of this and 40% of that. And diversification. I'm not a big fan. Now, I believe in Bitcoin, and most of mine is in Bitcoin. But as some of you might know, I do have a little bit in the stock market that was, luckily I've got some now in a Roth IRA, which is tax-free. So the money you make in there, Uncle Sam will allow you to take it out and never pay taxes on it because you already pay taxes on it. And you put it in there under their terms. So in that, I have been generally undiversified. And I've been using MicroStrategy, or now called strategy stock, because it was the best stock going for many years. And I got into MicroStrategy in 2021 because I was researching a way where I could put my assets into something that would be safe and far away from the Biden administration government. So therefore, I put it into MicroStrategy back in about March of 2021, because at the time I had done research and I said, well, Bitcoin, it probably is a good idea, but I never bought Bitcoin. Didn't have an easy way to buy it. Didn't know an easy way to buy it. You have to learn these things. But I had money in the stock market, so I said, well, let me buy some of this MicroStrategy. And of course, I watched the share price of MicroStrategy go up to over $1,200 a share, and then split 10 for 1. And then I bought more. And pretty much, I have no diversification other than MicroStrategy. Now, people say you have to diversify. Well, let's say you're sitting on a chair. Do you need to sit on 2 chairs? Or if you got a comfortable chair, is it good enough to sit on? You don't have to diversify. So that was the first topic. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I look at it this way. You do your research, and if you think that one particular asset is going to make you more money than all the other assets, and you've got conviction on that, why not run with it? Why not? I've got a cousin. Haven't talked to him in a long while about this, but I know that when he came back from serving in Vietnam, thank you, Bill, for your service. I know he came back from Vietnam and he got a job with Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he spoke with an old-timer there who said, Bill, take every stock option you can get, put as much away in your pension fund and your 401k as you can, because Procter & Gamble will match it. And you know, Procter & Gamble wasn't sexy, but if you know enough about Procter & Gamble, they've got a ton of really, really nice products. A lot. Tide and who knows how many others that they own. But they're not going anywhere. So he invested everything he had in Procter & Gamble. I think he still has everything he has in Procter & Gamble. And let me tell you, he's done real, real well. In fact, people who've done that throughout an entire career at Procter & Gamble generally retire very well off because of all the stock splits and all the stock matching and everything that Procter & Gamble did for people. He didn't diversify, and he's been retired for years, and he's not suffering. And he was just working for a major corporation, decided not to diversify. So right now, strategy has had its share of problems because Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin's down for a number of reasons because people use it for liquidity. I expect there'll be more selling of Bitcoin, even though it's up a little bit today. This is, April 13th. Might be up a little bit today, but tax time's coming in the United States. So for those people who happen to be in the United States, they may be drawing on liquidity to pay taxes. Who knows? But it will go back up. It will seek another new all-time high. And when it does, MicroStrategy will go up, or what they call strategy now, MSTR. It went up like $28 a share Friday, which was 7% maybe? Maybe almost 10%, I guess. So when Bitcoin goes up, it goes up. So the second thing I want to talk to you on this poolside poolside talk, Pontification. There you go. I haven't been drinking. I swear I haven't. The next thing I want to talk to you about is time preference. If you're young, if you're looking at how should you live your life, okay? Give a little thought to the need to have it now. Everything. When you're young, you gotta have it now. You gotta have that new 600 horsepower car now. You gotta have the boat now. You gotta have a airplane now. Or maybe it's more modest. Maybe you just want that 85-inch killer TV for the living room now. Maybe your wife wants that new refrigerator now. Well, if you're invested in a good investment with your money, think about how much this is going to cost you. Now, I could go back to the old story that everybody's heard about the poor guy who back in 2010, I guess it was, he decided he was mining Bitcoin, and at the time, Bitcoin wasn't worth much more than a penny, I guess. But he decided to trade 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. And he did. I don't know what happened to 10,000 Bitcoin. Maybe the guy at the pizza place just said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And he probably lost his keys and killed himself because 10,000 Bitcoin would be like, I don't know, $600 million or something? $800 million? I don't know, big number for 2 pizzas. 10,000 Bitcoin. Wow. Unbelievable. But let me give you a personal example for me. I put this out on a previous video. I didn't want to deal with the leasing company here in Thailand. So I said, okay, fine. I'll break down. I'll go buy this 2-year-old SUV, and I'll buy myself a car. It wasn't a whole lot of money. I think it was 26,000 US dollars value. And Bitcoin was, I think at the time, down around 30,000, something like that. Not 80, like 30. And I did a spreadsheet on this. Had I held the Bitcoin and just rented the car, I would have still been renting a car and had the original price of the car plus almost 2x times that in wealth in Bitcoin. And I got silly to say, yeah, I'm tired of dealing with this pain in the ass leasing company that makes me go through hoops every single month here. It was stupid the way it was working out. And I just got sick of it. So I said, hey, I'll just buy. It wasn't a lot of money. But had I leased it and pay that, $600 a month to lease it and kept the 26,000 in Bitcoin, that would have been worth 70-something thousand or 80,000. Right now, even at a lower price, it would have been more than that before Bitcoin came back from 109,000 down to right now today it's like 84, 85, something like that. So I slipped up. It's easy to get into time preference. You want it now. And let me tell you, it's harder. People think that kids are the problem here. You're young, you need something. It gets even harder for time preference to kick in when you're older. Because you tell yourself, hey, I want to die broke anyway. Which I did a video on that, got lost. But yeah, I want to die broke anyway. It's like being a good pilot, you see. I'm a pilot. And I really thought I knew how to fly because I was flying complex airplanes, cabin class, pressurized, twin engine. I had commercial rating. I had an instrument rating. And I thought, I knew how to fly. And then I went, after doing all that, I went and got a glider training. I wanted to learn how to fly gliders. No engine. They tow you up 10,000 feet in the air. You pull a little handle and drop the rope that was towing your plane up. You're 30, 40 miles away from where you took off. Now, the purpose of flying a glider is you want to run out of altitude and airspeed at the same exact time. And that has to be preferably over a runway that you want to land on. Otherwise, they have to send a truck and a trailer out, take the wings off the glider, and truck and trailer it back to the airport where you took off from, which costs you a lot of money. So in life, I decided I want to run out of oxygen and money, preferably at the same time. So it gets a little harder to have time preference. But when you've got assets that are compressed, like the Trump tariffs compressed the stock market, so people were saying, gee, my assets were worth more in late November than they are now. They really shot up after the U.S. election, and now they're depressed. Well, now's not the time to go buy that new car. maybe not. You know, you should have good time preference. Here, let me let you look out here at the yard for a second. Pretty, huh? Actually, time preference is important. So we've talked a little bit about diversification, which I go against the grain on that. Find a number one asset, and you don't need to diversify. And also, you don't need to own stuff. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful house. I love this house. I love the pool. It's really nice. I don't want to own it. When you own it, you gotta deal with everything. Secondly, in most countries in the world, you don't own it. You really lease it, even if you got title to it, because the government charges you to own it. They charge you taxes on it, whether you own it or not. So you pay taxes. And some of them, if you got a really nice place, the taxes in some places are very expensive. And if that money that you have tied up in that real estate is in an asset like Bitcoin that has been going up on a CAGR basis of about 60% a year, are you better off owning it or letting all that money you got sitting in that beautiful house work wonders on Bitcoin? Now, I wish I had been more convicted earlier in life on Bitcoin. I would have sold my house earlier, would have took whatever pennies I could get for it, even if the market was bad, put it up for auction if you had to. And when Bitcoin was selling for low, when I was in it, low was, $18,000 a coin. Take whatever you could get for that property, put it in Bitcoin. If I would have done that, I'd been better off. But I don't have anything left to sell like that. I finally wised up. Nobody's perfect. And if any of these videos can help anybody, then that's the reason I make them. And I'm not going to tell you all to subscribe. I don't care. I'm not trying to make any money. I'm not trying to get followers. If somebody happens to stumble across one of my videos on X or on Rumble or on YouTube, I hope I can help somebody else out, because I'm still alive because I believe in good karma. That's the way I look at it. Without karma, I probably wouldn't be here. I just think that helping people is the way everybody rises to the top. The richest people in the world have helped the most people in the world also become better off by providing goods and services or values to other people. And that could be simple things. That could be just opening the door for the lady who has her hands full of packages, or open the door for the man who's, loaded down with a big load. It could be just smiling and saying Happy Songkran to somebody. It's a holiday over here called Songkran, where everybody soaks everybody with water pistols and these super soakers and backpacks full of water with pumps in them and garden sprayers. Anything to get people wet. this is the craziest 3-day celebration. I don't know for a fact, but I would imagine that this holiday might sell more squirt guns than any other thing in the year. I mean, everybody in this country has a monster squirt gun that they can go squirt people with for Songkran. Okay, besides that, on X, I was watching a video. I posted a picture. This video was on China, and it was talking about the Chinese shipbuilding industry. Very good documentary. And they were showing people building ships. Like, the United States has built like 5 ships in the last year, and China's built like 1,400. And we're talking these big cargo ships and everything. And they were showing them building this ship, and they were using B-roll video footage. And a guy took a sheet metal screw, put in a hole, and drove it in with a hammer, a 2-pound hammer. It was a Phillips head sheet metal screw. And he just drove it in with a hammer. There was a hole there already, so he just sticks it in and just whacks it with a hammer. And they were putting this thing all the way down. There were holes, other holes. I showed a picture of it. But what I didn't realize was, and I haven't verified this, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the documentary said that in the last couple months, they've levied a tax on any ship manufactured in China. Come on, bug, go away. Any ship that was manufactured in China that enters a U.S. port has to pay $1.25 million to unload if it's a manufactured ship from China. This lady who was given the report said that the orders for new ships went down from like 35 new ships a month to them getting 0 orders. While countries like Japan and South Korea that has shipbuilding are getting increased orders and increased market share. So simply by the Trump administration putting a fee on any ship manufactured in China that comes into a U.S. port has to pay this unloading fee. Because he wants to bring shipbuilding back to the United States or other countries than China. That right now, it seems like Japan and places like them and South Korea, they're benefiting by it. But I thought it was awful interesting. And the question I raise is, if they pound sheet metal screws into holes with a hammer rather than screwing them in, would you want to ride in a plane that was manufactured in China? If that's the way they put things together? I don't think I'd want to take a plane ride on a commercial airliner. I mean, Boeing's not perfect, obviously. But, yeah, that's a topic for another Poolside Pontification. I wish I could say that better. I love the word. Yeah, there's certain words in the English language that are fun. Okay? Kickapoo. I just love to say kickapoo. Remember that old thing, Kickapoo Joy Juice? And if you used to take a trip down Route 66 heading out west, they used to have signs that says Kickapoo Nation Ahead. And I used to get the biggest kick out of the word kickapoo. Or what about okie dokie? Talked to a lady from credit card company the other day on the phone. And she said, okie dokie. And I said, I love saying okie dokie. That is such a cool word, okie dokie. What other cool words are? I don't know. But I'm done with this poolside pontification. I'm going to post this up on X and on Rumble and on Twitter. And I'm going to see how that goes. And it's interesting. I don't do enough of these anymore. And the reason I met the guy last night was he recognized me from doing the videos. And I haven't been doing them because they take a lot of time. But as I walk around in my pool, I can do a video like this. It doesn't really take all that much more time. And I enjoy being in here. It's going towards sunset. It's a nice time of day. And the house provides a little bit of shade over the pool. If you go out at noon, in about 20 minutes, you'll be like a post toasty. You'll be extra crispy out here with the sun beating straight down. So anyway, Monday's going to open up on the stock market. And I think strategy will probably be up if Bitcoin's up. Strategy will be down if Bitcoin's down. Doesn't take any secret to that. But Bitcoin will come up. But I think some of the uncertainty and tax season has to get by for it to start rising. I expect that by early June, we'll see Bitcoin hit new all-time highs. That's based on my technical analysis that I've done and on history, because I've been following it real close since I'm a maxi. I mean, I've got the vast majority of my money, well over 80%, 90% of anything I've got is in Bitcoin. And I love it. It's freedom. Although we've got much better government in the United States as a U.S. citizen, until Donald Trump was elected, I had no faith that the U.S. government wouldn't try to confiscate anything they needed to get. I have more faith that won't happen now. But in another 4 years, there'll be another election, there'll be another president, and you'll never know what to expect. So if you want financial freedom, if you want to live your best life, if you want to retire early, one of the things you have to do is figure out where you're going to put your money, where you're going to put your wealth, where no sovereign government can take it. And believe me, the people who come from Europe and the European Union, they're not doing any better. They're not doing any better with their government not wanting to, what, they got that MINA Act over there, and you've got the head of the European Central Bank saying no banks are going to deal in Bitcoin, and they're trying to make everybody use digital money, and anything above, any transaction above 3,000 euros, you have to use digital money for and report. Yeah. And they say we need more capital controls. Well, the New World Order is dying. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg Group, all these globalists and elitists that were trying to control the entire world under one controlled currency, and everybody has to follow their rules, except for the people who are making the rules. They never follow the rules. They're a lot like China. If you haven't seen the Kevin O'Leary testimony in front of Congress on China and China trade, you really should look it up on YouTube. Kevin O'Leary held nothing back, and he has businesses in China. It's not to his benefit to speak ill of China. You speak ill of China and you have any way that they can hurt you, they'll hurt back. But Trump is going to crush them unless they come to the table and start giving us a deal that's a better deal. I say us, I'm not living there anymore, but I love America. I love a lot of people in America. I want to see America do good. And there's a lot going on. It's holding a lot of people back financially. So I hope this little poolside chat has entertained you. It's entertained me. I've enjoyed it. And with that, all I can say is, that's all, folks.
That's all, folks.